The Democrats of the January 6th committee are devastated to learn that Jeff Zucker has been ousted from CNN. And why could that be? Because staff members, high-ranking individuals within the company outright admit that they favor the Democratic Party. In fact, one going as far to say that if it wasn't for Jeff Zucker, we'd be Fox News Lite. Now there's reports that with the new merger, CNN is being pushed into Discovery, that one of the top officials over at Discovery is going to turn CNN impartial. Yeah, that's the report. Apparently, this guy is a big Trump supporter and he wants CNN to be impartial. And if that reporting is true, it confirms basically everything. The scandal at CNN where Jeff Zucker is hooking up with the marketing lady who used to work for Andrew Cuomo, the Democrat governor of New York, and the relationship got outed because Chris Cuomo was angry and demanded he wanted his contract paid out. This whole scandal is blowing up and exposing that CNN has been not only favoring the Democrats, but outright colluding with them because they're all one big happy family tree, son. As these Democratic establishment politicians engage in, hyperbolically speaking, treason. Again, shout out to Rap News for that line from one of their songs. But this is what we're seeing. I mean, CNN has long pushed news that hurt Donald Trump, Russiagate, Ukrainegate. They were often pushing dangerous misinformation. And now that Jeff Zucker is out, well, these Democrats fear that their propaganda machine will betray them. Isn't it shocking? I mean, all of the stuff we all know to be true because we're not morons is now just coming to light. When we came out and said that CNN was the Democratic news network or the Orange Man Bad network, it was because there were so many singular instances of CNN lying to protect Democrats that it was obvious. And now we know. Top-ranking staff are like, oh no, now we're going to have to tell the truth. I think we'll go through the names of who said what, but one person, I think it might have been Tapper, saying if it wasn't for Zucker, then CNN would have been benign vanilla gruel. What is CNN supposed to be? Is it supposed to be leftist establishment activist talking points? Because if it is, y'all are lying about being news. Now, to be fair, look, news, it's a broad term. It doesn't mean you're only going to be a stodgy, guy sitting down who goes like, today at 11, Donald Trump did a backflip. You can actually add some spice. You can give your opinion on these things. That's fair. But CNN was trying to be MSNBC. They were trying to be Fox News. And they are not trusted. Their ratings are in the absolute gutter, and they heavily favor one political party. They're not news. Look, maybe you can say they are, to be fair, because everybody has their bias. The problem is they lie. Now, of course, you can come out and say Fox News lies or whatever. Sure, criticize all the networks. But I'll give a special shout out to Bill Maher, because this was funny. He said, he was like, I'm going to call out the left and the woke, and everyone cheers. And he goes, and that's why he's got, he's like, that's why Fox likes me. And everyone starts clapping and cheering. It's funny. Bill Maher's audience cheering at the idea that Fox News likes him. People are waking up to the lies. These crackpot evil individuals over at CNN and the January 6th committee are being exposed. And it's funny. It's funny to watch. I'm glad it's happening. Let's read this story from the National Review to see what's going down. And then I will break down for you the glory that is the CNN implosion. There are calls inside CNN to fire Brian Stelter because he either covered up this scandal between the president and the chief marketing officer, or he just didn't know and he's really, really bad at his job. Sure. But before we get started, head over to timcast.com, become a member. Click sign up in the top right corner to help support our work. Your membership helps make these videos possible. It makes sure that all of our reporters have jobs and can keep reporting the news. And share the site, share articles if you really want to help out. You'll also get access to exclusive members-only segments in the Timcast IRL podcast and our other shows. And don't forget to check out the timcast.com store to get your free honk t-shirts. Okay, it's a t-shirt like Free Hong Kong, but the honk, great honking protest. If you want to help support that message and help support the work we do, go to timcast.com, check out the store. But now, Let us read this news. Oh yeah, and don't forget, like this video, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. It really does help. The National Review reports January 6th committee lawmakers devastated by Jeff Zucker's ouster from CNN. Oh no! 4 members of the House Select Committee on January 6th Capitol riot are devastated for our democracy after CNN President Jeff Zucker announced his resignation earlier this week, according to a CNN correspondent. Now, many of you may be saying, but Tim, there are 2 Republicans on the January 6th committee, so maybe it's not Democrats, right? Okay, all right. Well, to be fair, that's at least 2 Democrats. If it's Kinzinger and Cheney who are shocked, and then 2 other individuals, then you have at least 2 Democrats who are devastated by this. But let's be real. Take a look at this story from CNN. Breaking news as of today. RNC approves censure of Cheney and Kinzinger at winter meeting. The Republican National Committee members voted Friday to formally censure GOP reps Cheney of Wyoming and Adam Kinzinger of Illinois for their involvement with the House investigation into the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Let's be real, guys. Kinzinger and Cheney, they're effectively Democrats. They side with the Democrats. They rag on Trump supporters and the Republican Party and conservatives all day. What's the purpose of calling them Republicans? Didn't Cheney get kicked out of the Republican Party anyway? Okay, but to be fair, formally and legally, they are not Democrats. But you get the point. It's about the establishment uniparty, evil, manipulative elitists and authoritarians, and they're freaking out because the narrative is bursting before their eyes and they're losing control, and it makes me smile. Makes me happy. This is why I feel like we're starting to win. But don't get me wrong, as we start gaining more ground, they will thrash about violently. The National Review goes on to say Zucker stepped down on Wednesday after acknowledging that he had failed to disclose a romantic relationship with CNN executive, vice president, and chief marketing officer Allison Gollust. As part of the investigation into Chris Cuomo's tenure, I was asked about a consensual relationship, blah, blah. You get the point. He was hooking up with this lady he knew for 20 years. Here's the real scandal. This lady used to work for Andrew Cuomo. She worked for a Democrat governor. So when Chris Cuomo was under investigation, it's all one big happy family tree. So on the Democratic Party, they're like, hey, we don't want to lose Chris Cuomo. He's a great propagandist for us. So they, kind of smooth thing over. It's one group of people. There's no accountability because they're all friends and family. But eventually, there was too much. It was the New York AG, I believe, who released hard documents showing that Chris Cuomo had engaged in a conflict of interest. And then Zucker finally was like, okay, dude, we're firing you. Chris Cuomo was like, how dare you fire me? And they fired him. So he was like, give me the money you owe me for my contract. And Zucker said no. And that's when it just went nuts. And CNN is crumbling. Check this out. During a 90-minute meeting with Jason Kilar, chief executive of CNN's parent firm, Warner Media, staffers from the cable news channel's Washington bureau went to bat for Zucker and expressed concern over the future of the company, according to audio recording obtained by the LA Times. I think we've heard a lot of corporate double talk, said Washington correspondent Jamie Gangel. I think the company's made a terrible mistake by doing this. Gangel, who has worked with Zucker since her early days as an up-and-coming producer at NBC, said she received calls from 4 members of the 9-person congressional panel investigating the Capitol riot who felt devastated for our democracy now that Zucker has left CNN. Ha, 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 ha. I'm loving it. It's a great Friday. We're going to crack open the champagne. We're going to go out to the casino. We're going to be making it. We're going to be high-fiving. I'm kidding. We're not going to actually celebrate or anything like that, but boy, does it feel great. Oh, man. Luke's back in town, by the way. Luke on IRL, he left for a little bit. He came back just for a couple days. So we're going to be, we will be high-fiving and laughing about this, I assure you. Quote, I do not think you have any appreciation for what you've done to this organization. No, but I do. And I know you do, too. That's great. During Wednesday's meeting with Kilar, CNN Washington correspondent Jim Acosta claimed that without Zucker's leadership during the Trump administration, we would have probably been taken out. And you would have something like Fox News Lite on the air right now, according to the report. Aw, poor Jim. You wanted to play ball? You wanted to go to bat for the Democrats? Too bad. You lose. Because the reality is Fox News Lite sounds like, I don't know, telling the truth. Orange Man Bad Network. Quote, It's a rather delicate time, not just for this country, but this business. Aw, didn't sell enough books there, Jimmy boy? Meanwhile, anchor Jake Tapper said the network would have turned into benign vanilla gruel without Zucker. Sounds like CNN would have been something admirable. It's too bad, isn't it? Tapper went on to claim that Warner Media was caving to disgraced anchor Chris Cuomo, who has promised to retaliate against Zucker for firing him without pay. Yo, if you have a contract with someone and you fire them, pay them out their contract. I don't think Chris Cuomo is the bad guy in this instance. I think he's a bad guy. He faked being in quarantine, but I think CNN owed him the money. Look all the evil things Chris Cuomo did for CNN. And then they snub him like this. He threatened, Tapper said. Jeff said we don't negotiate with terrorists. Chris blew the place up. How do we get past that perception that this is the bad guy winning? No. You're all bad guys. You're all bad guys, so you're all losing. Cuomo gets fired. Your network tanks. They're going to say that Zucker had supported Cuomo for months before the anchor was finally let go. Apparently, he wasn't going to pay out his contract, and it was like, I think, $9 million left. So Chris Cuomo threatened to out his relationship, which he did, and then... But is this really about Chris Cuomo is the big question, because a lot of people think there's a bigger scandal at play. Zucker wanted to leave already. Could it be that the new leadership coming in likes Donald Trump and wants reality back? Yo, we are winning. And we are the people, and what does we mean? It means the people who like honesty, integrity, and truth. The cult is losing. To support honesty, integrity, and truth, you don't have to like Donald Trump. You can, or you can't. You know, it's up to you. You can say, don't like him that much. He's okay, or I love him. That's fine. So long as we agree on reality. Take a look at this. Jake Tapper said Chris Cuomo blew up CNN after Zucker refused contract payout. So apparently, I'm sorry, it wasn't $9 million. It was $18 million on his contract. Jason, if you could address the perception that Chris Cuomo gets fired by CNN, hires a high-powered lawyer with scorched earth policy and makes it very clear to the world, unless Jeff gives Cuomo his money, they're going to blow the place up. Yo, pay the man the value of his contract. Daily Mail says Chris Cuomo to get $9 million from CNN. So that was the number. He's apparently not getting his $18 million. He was trying to get 18. He's only going to get 9. So there you go. Now, one of the big questions is whether or not all of this has something to do with the new leadership who supports Trump. But I think before we get into that, we got to talk about what really happened to CNN. You've got these high-powered individuals, evil slime bags, people like Cuomo and Tapper, who are willing to sell out for money. And then you got these insiders. From The Wrap, Jeff Zucker complicated CNN legacy. Leaked insider texts say he destroyed the network. Quote, who says there's never any good news on CNN? One former staffer wrote in an acid text shared among a group of CNN alumni on Wednesday and obtained by The Wrap. Too little to save the network he destroyed. You know, I agree. I actually used to watch CNN all the time. No, for real, I did. I really was a fan of Anderson Cooper. Now, you can go back and look at his family history. The dude's fairly elitist and all of that stuff, but he's really sold himself out. It's sad. You know, I look at the stories. There's a photo of Anderson Cooper. I can't remember which country he's in, but he's like grabbing a kid and pulling him away from like a bomb going off. And the dude went out and he reported the news. I'm not saying he's the best reporter in the world. I was just like, yeah, he's all right. You know, fairly moderate guy. And then CNN decided, we're going to play this reality TV angle. And people like Cooper were like, you got it, boss. Tapper, Cuomo, all of these really awful scumbags. Jim Acosta, talk about trash. No, Zucker burned CNN to the ground. But Democrats loved it. He was playing ball for them. He was going to bat for them. Now it's all coming to an end. CNN is also facing calls to fire Brian Stelter for not exposing the affair. Quote, the network needs to step up and fire Brian Stelter, the unidentified source said. He is allegedly our top media reporter, yet he failed to report on the scoop that everyone in the office knew. And if he wants to say he didn't know, he is truly terrible at his job. Can I just point out, Brian Stelter is like a few months older than me. He looks like he's been at the network for 30 years, but he's not. I think he should be fired. I think Brian Stelter is one of the worst people in media, and CNN needs to absolutely clean house. And my friends, it may be coming. Take a look at this story from Daily Mail. Is this the end of CNN's left-wing bias? Billionaire Trump donor, who is the largest shareholder of the network's new owner, Discovery, wants to restore it to impartiality and insisted on Jeff Zucker's departure after his affair was exposed. Yo, this is huge. YouTube and Twitter, Facebook, they use CNN to fall back on. Not just CNN, they use New York Times and NBC and ABC and these other networks, but CNN is the first domino. It's falling over. And when CNN starts reporting the truth, Facebook and Twitter and these other corrupt networks won't be able to hide behind it. YouTube won't be able to hide behind it. So when a story comes out and it says, politician X takes action Y, big scandal, and then they say, you better not report this, otherwise we'll ban your channel, I just be like, I'm just going to report on what CNN said, right? I like to use mainstream networks as much as I can for reporting when I can verify what they say for that reason. It's a shield. And then often you can't because they do lie a lot. And I love to call them out too. But this story could be good news. Check it out. John Malone, a billionaire Trump donor, is the CEO of Liberty Media. Liberty Media? Hey, all right. Maybe that's a good name. Discovery's largest shareholder. He retains a 25% voting share in Discovery, which will take control of Warner Media and its assets, including CNN, later this year. With Jeff Zucker gone, that means more likely than ever. That seems more likely. It's unclear which political direction Discovery CEO David Zaslav wants to take the network. On Friday morning, he shocked CNBC hosts by calling the network the leader of news to the left. Oh, you'll love to see it. Mediaite interpreted his remark as a reference to the political left. However, he has since clarified that he was talking about the left side of the company portfolio, with sports being on the right. Don't know, don't care. Please, I don't believe it. On CNBC, he refused to talk about the scandal, but said, Jeff is a good friend of mine. I can't speak to this issue. We don't own the company yet. In terms of CNN Plus, we couldn't be more excited about the fact that they've been hiring great journalists. They hired Chris Wallace. CNN staffers and media insiders are speculating over why Warner Media bosses and AT&T chiefs really wanted him gone, since the affair was an open secret for years. One theory centers around AT&T's deal to sell Warner Media, which owns CNN, to Discovery. The $43 billion deal is almost done after years of attempts by AT&T to spin the network off. I want to slow down there for all y'all. Ask a question. Why is CNN worth $43 billion? Do they really make that much money? And if they do, wow, how do they pull it off? Their ratings are in the gutter. They only get around 200,000 key demo views. I get more than that. More than that will watch this one video. Yeah, that's crazy. So how is it $43 billion? It's the authority behind it. They know it commands. But now, maybe they're walking away from this Democrat establishment trash. Powerful interests who want real news and wants integrity restored to this country may be pushing back. It's not all good news. They could swing in the other direction. That'd be bad as well. Just tell the truth, and I'll be happy. They're going to say Malone is a supporter of Zucker. Is a supporter of Zucker's most emboldened enemy, Donald Trump. He donated $250,000 to Trump's inauguration in 2017 and has made no secret of the fact that he, like Trump and millions of others, thinks CNN has become too left-wing and biased. I would like to see CNN evolve back to the kind of journalism that it started with and actually have journalists, which would be unique and refreshing, he told CNBC in 2019. I do believe good journalism could have a role in this future portfolio that Discovery Time Warner is going to represent. Deadline reported last night that it was Malone who insisted on Zucker's departure after learning of the affair. Discovery's largest shareholder, John Malone, a critic of CNN, made it known that corporate procedures had to be followed to the letter in regards to Zucker. You know what I think? I think this dude wanted Zucker gone. I think he didn't have a way to get rid of him. And with the affair not being publicly disclosed or disclosed to the company, he couldn't do anything about it. I want to explain this to a lot of people who don't understand how business works. It's not easy. You can't just fire people. If they fired Zucker, they'd be dealing with potential litigation. There's legal blowback. There's labor blowback. There's obviously anger among the staff. And then there's PR blowback. Did the biased Trump supporters fire Jeff Zucker over his challenging to Donald Trump? Well, they saw an opportunity and they took it. Zucker was engaged in an affair that he did not disclose. And they said, bye-bye. Now, of course, the staff are furious. But it all worked out in the end. If your goal is to get rid of one of the most vile and despicable characters in media, they found a way to do it. They're going to say, Discovery's largest shareholder or critic made it known, being that Warner Media's standards of business conduct require disclosure of relationships that develop with a boss and a subordinate, Zucker's goose was officially cooked. And they're going to mention that the relationship between Alice and Gollust, they worked together for 20 years, but let's come on. Gollust worked for Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo, a Democrat. It's all tied together. They're going to say, for legal reasons, Discovery must avoid getting involved with Warner Media until the deal has been approved by the U.S. government. However, in November last year, after the news of the impending merger was announced, Malone made it clear that he was not a fan of the direction CNN had gone under Zucker. You see, AT&T bought Warner Media, formerly Time Warner, in 2018 for $84 billion. It was a disastrous deal that the telecoms giant had been trying to unwind for years. It finally is now in the finalizing stages of a $43 billion sale of Warner Media to Discovery. According to Puck Media reporter Dylan Byers, Zucker and Gollust were due to take on senior roles within the new company, under the leadership of Discovery CEO David Zaslav. But speculation had been growing over whether Zucker was forced out at CNN over his open secret affair, not because bosses had any real issue with it, but because the scandal of it and his ongoing war with Chris Cuomo could have threatened AT&T's deal with Discovery. It has also been reported that Gollust and Zucker were privately advising New York Governor Andrew Cuomo through the pandemic, a huge breach of ethics. According to sources cited by Rolling Stone on Thursday, the pair breached journalism ethics to help Cuomo behind the scenes in the same way that his younger brother Chris did. Whoa, I didn't even know that one. Wow, man. So when I say it's all one big happy family tree, son, it's worse than even I realized. Chris was fired from CNN for helping Andrew through a misconduct scandal at the messy fallout from his departure. The affair between Zucker and Gollust has surfaced. They're going to show photos of Alice and Gollust, which I don't care about. An ongoing investigation at CNN that was focused on Chris's departure has now, according to Rolling Stone sources, also found that Gollust, who worked for Andrew previously, and Zucker were actively consulting the Democratic governor and advising him. It could help explain how Andrew Cuomo became an overnight international sensation. Not only that, but they were having him come on TV with his brother, making some reality TV trash. Yo, we've got deep-seated corruption. Look at this. Jeff Zucker and Andrew Cuomo are pictured with Tina Fey in 2008. New report suggests Zucker was advising Cuomo on how to handle the COVID-19 crisis. Let me just explain to you, as very simply as I can. We now have numerous reports confirming in more ways than one that CNN was openly colluding with Democrats to help them during the pandemic. You can't trust them. You can't trust CNN. Yo, share this story with your friends and family. Please let them know that the media is colluding with a political party. Man, this country's in serious trouble because of stuff like this. We need our fourth estate. We need our media establishment to challenge these people. They don't do it. Take a look at this. Nancy Pelosi tells U.S. Olympic athletes not to speak out against the Chinese government. I fear for their safety if they do. She's like, don't speak out against China because they're ruthless. Look, I'll be honest with you guys. I don't think the Olympics is an appropriate forum for speaking out for any reason. I got to be honest. I'm not a fan of the Black Lives Matter stuff, going out and, doing whatever. It's the Olympics, man. Some people just want to come together internationally and kind of de-escalate things. But I do think if you have an issue with what China is doing, you should not be going there. That should be your protest. Say no. But I show you this because it shows the spinelessness of these Democrats. It shows how they're outright like, oh, don't speak up, don't challenge them. But what I would say is, because I don't think this is the apocalypse. I just want to show you, I think the Democrats are spineless. I think they're deferential to China. I think Nancy Pelosi should have said, Olympic athletes, if you take issue with what China is doing, please do not attend the events And you can use that moment to announce in a press conference exactly why you won't go. There was this woman. She was a chess, I believe she was like a chess grandmaster or some like really, really famous player. And she refused to go to Iran because they would make her wear hijab. And she said, no, I won't do it. So she was like, I ain't going. Bravo. Stand up for what you believe in and refuse to participate. That I think is the appropriate response. But now we can see where all this is going. The mainstream media has been untrustworthy for some time. Look at this. We have this story from the Daily Mail. Why did so many American mainstream media outlets ignore a reputable university study that lockdowns didn't work? The New York Times, the Washington Post, ABC, NBC, CBS all failed to run the story because they have their own narrative written. Look at this. They destroyed your businesses, and for what? They shut down schools, and for what? They're not telling you the truth, man. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I, simply a dude who reads the news on the internet and then complains about it, I'm not going to pretend that I'm the arbiter of morality or truth. I can tell you this. I will be honest with you and call out the lies from these institutions and organizations. I'll give you my thoughts and opinions on them. I don't know everything. And often when these outlets get things wrong, it means I'll get them wrong too, because I, the same as you or many other people, give them some trust, even though often we shouldn't. But that's what I have to do. You know, I like using CNN stories. Like I used this source. RNC approves censure of Cheney and Kinzinger at winter meeting. It's from CNN, from Gabby Orr. I use it on purpose because I want to show when I can verify what CNN is saying is true, I want to use it. Tell me it's wrong. You can't. It's CNN. Oh, you know, they don't like CNN, whatever. The point is, we can all see through the lies. We can see the narrative is crumbling. We can see these despicable, evil people are losing. And it feels good, man. It feels really, really good. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, it's just like, I said this the other day. It's like in the movie The Patriot with Mel Gibson. I love that movie, by the way. It's at like that final battle sequence where Mel Gibson, you know, is watching all of the militiamen and the Continental soldiers. They're fleeing. And then he's like, no, hold the line. And then he grabs the flag and he runs. And then the soldiers see him and they turn around and they run with him. And he's like, don't retreat, run, charge. And it feels like that's like what it is. Sometimes you retreat because you have to. Because staying and losing all your troops in a conflict you're going to lose is pointless, and you want to retreat and regroup. Come up with a better plan. Sometimes you want to yell, hold the line, and charge forward. And figuratively, that's what I think we're seeing. We're seeing freedom, liberty, honesty, integrity. We are charging forward. We are honking our car horns, blaring our truck horns. We are, meeting up in large protests and saying, enough. They've been lying, they've been cheating, and they've been stealing, and they have been exposed. Every single day, more and more outlets are calling them out. And I'll tell you, as a kind of aside to all of this, you know what gives me hope? It's the story surrounding Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan made a video addressing the controversy. And what happens? A wave of mainstream celebrities, apparently including The Rock. That's what I didn't see the actual comment from, but everyone's saying that. They come out and they say, right on, Joe. And I'm just like, yo, I don't know if it's Joe Rogan who's Mel Gibson with the flag and running forward, or if he's just another guy who's like, I ain't backing down. But it looks like we're winning. CNN's ratings are in the gutter. Joe's are through the roof. Our ratings at Timcast IRL have been growing substantially. I think like 30% in the past month. We are going to grow. We're going to expand with your support over at timcast.com. And we're going to get the message out. We're going to call out the lies. We are going to shout out those truckers that are standing up for their rights. We are going to say no to rule by decree. And we are going to enunciate quite clearly. We, the people, have the power. I don't want to have power over you. I don't want to be like CNN, lie to you to trick you into giving up some power. I'll tell you this. If the Democrats won the argument, I'd say, all right. I don't agree with the Republicans on a lot of what they stand for, but they're winning the argument for a lot of reasons. And one of those reasons is that the Democratic establishment has been colluding with the media. They're completely untrustworthy. Imagine if they came out, made an actual case. We're honest with why they wanted certain policies. Man, would it be great? But they don't, because they're a zombie horde. They don't actually care about any of this stuff. You know, you think they actually care about universal health care? In California, with a Democrat supermajority, they still voted down universal health care because they are grifters. They are liars. They want power. And I love it when these activists are like, these people on the right are grifters and Tim Pool's a grifter. And yeah, what do I want? To live in the middle of nowhere with some chickens and to be left alone? I'll tell you what I want: to expose those liars, to mind my own business, and to let you mind yours. And you know what I think? When we face problems as a nation and as a planet, we have a meeting about it. We come together, we make discussions. We say, let's compromise, let's figure this out. What do? They beat you down, they lie, they put a boot on your neck, they claim it's a mostly peaceful protest, they provide funding to these people who are burning down your businesses, they lock down your stores, they destroy your life, and then when a study comes out proving it was for nothing, they don't report on it. It's all one big happy family tree, son. And these people, I'll tell you this, when they start defending China and become deferential, maybe it really is treason. Because we are in conflict with China. Maybe not hot conflict, but it's a Cold War. And you've got people in the Democratic Party and the media who are deferring and defending China. LeBron James, Mark Cuban, and Nancy Pelosi and these other Democrats. Spare me your lies. Y'all are losing. Glad to see it. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up tonight at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.